Oh, you got your phone going?
No, I
You
was
supposed
just
to take all those beeps out, man. Yeah, I don't have too many people that do that, man. I haven't had nobody with a phone call so far. So knock on wood, man. All good luck. So welcome to the Beyond Rhetoric podcast. So for everybody that's on today, we're gonna actually talk about the auction that we had. So we've been promoting that for weeks. If you've seen all the previous podcasts from season two, and we had the auction. It was a wonderful event. I won't talk too much about it because I don't want to give some things away that some of the people that's going to be on the show talking about. So today we have someone that you've met before, Dr. Troy Grant. We also have our newest member to our board, PT, and then we also have someone who's been with us from the beginning, Marcellus. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for
thank you,
having
thank
us.
you.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
No doubt, man. So first question I want to ask everybody. Matter of fact, I want to direct this to you, Troy, because you're the person that came up with this. How did the whole auction thing come about? Where did that idea come from, and what made you look at it and say, yeah, this is something we should execute?
So, a few years ago, we had a kind of a challenge with our finances when we first started, and it was clear. I would say, Nancy. Everybody should remember Nancy from the first few years. But she just frankly said at one of our board meetings, "We need an intern." And so I went about the business of finding interns. And so we did. So we found an intern by the name of Malaya, and she was at Towson University at the time. And the interns were challenged with coming up with ideas that would be added values to, or an added value to, what we do here at Beyond Rhetoric. And one of the ideas Malaya came up with, Malaya McDonald, is she said we should do an auction. And I'm like, well, what is that? And then she went about finding the information, and she went about finding the website that would work. And we did it. So we did our first one in 2022. And then this is our second one. So that came from an idea that was, spawned from an intern that was spawned from Nancy. So I can't even take credit.
All good, brother. Marcellus, when you first heard about the auction, I'll share with my thoughts about it as well. But I wanted to hear your thoughts when you first heard about doing an auction, even in the last year. Well, I don't want to give dates because you know, Troy, I may get it wrong. So from when we did the first one, I'll say that, and the idea came up. Like Marcellus, what was going through your mind when you first heard about that?
So, anytime you want to talk about auctions, you always want to look at it from the lens of what is it going to do for your organization, or how can you produce either revenue, or how can you produce some type of financial support to help gear what you're trying to go towards. And all these auctions, not just with us, they also go to a cause where you're also giving some credit to people that's bringing things for you to auction off. So when you see things like that, one is twofold. You're helping the person that wants to provide that support, but you're also helping that organization to raise money to what it's going towards. The thing is, we just don't think about it as much because sometimes you don't know what the success rate will be with it, depending on how many people will turn out, how people will push to elevate what you'll use it for. So it's always a risk reward thing. But if you do it in the right way, or promote it, or have good people to come in, you can always have some type of value of success. So when it was first discussed, I mean, I thought it was a great idea, just thinking about things that we were trying to do at Beyond Reddit to move forward. And I was like, why not? Why not push for something to try to see what we can do to benefit, both sides of the equation, what we was trying to do.
Yeah, so for me, when I first heard about it, I was like, "Oh man, I wonder who's gonna have the gavel, be standing up there, telling people." I thought it was gonna be people had the little paddles and everything like that. So I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be cool to be a part of because I've only been to a couple of auctions before, and so I was thrilled when I first heard the idea. And then Troy we executed right, and we showed up that day. And what I didn't realize, and this is Troy saying this for the first time, I didn't know we had skin in the game. Like we were gonna be doing work. So I remember when I walked in, Troy was like, "Colleagues, can you make sure we're gonna be auctioning off this thing? Could you talk about it? And this is gonna happen here." And I was like, "All right, brother, I got you. I got you. But I didn't know we had something going on because I thought it was gonna be somebody with a gavel standing up there in the front and all that type of stuff. So it was really cool and it was really great to see some of the people there. And I had a wonderful time the first time and even the second time. PT, have you ever been a part of something like that, dealing with an auction before?
No, no, I haven't. That was the first time. When I heard about it, I was like, interesting. Uh, but I was all in for it to see how it operated. So it was a beautiful thing. I really enjoyed myself being there.
Yeah, and you know what, PT, I want to go to you first and then go around to the room. What was the most memorable part of the night for you?
Being able to get up there and talk because I wasn't tracking that I was talking, that I had a speaking part. So when Jeff told me that, hey, you got something to say too, I was like, oh, okay. But now, really, the interesting part was like just the amount of stuff that was there to auction. Everything from the paintings, the pictures, the I think it was the book that Troy had that was auctioned as well, right? It was just so much of a diverse spread that was awesome that it was good to see that because I didn't know what to expect, so I had no expectations of what was going to be there, not to be there. So to see it was like, wow, oh man, like the three coaching sessions, right? Jazz, right? Getting jazz lessons like that. That stuff is crazy. I don't think I've ever been anywhere where those things were auctioned off, right? So yeah, that's what I enjoyed. Just the atmosphere was great too. So
Yeah, so PT, so I'll get into the most memorable part of the night for me. But one thing I do remember was you mentioning my name when you got up there. And so, and so, so my man got caught up talking a little bit longer than what he should, right? We had stuff on the timer. You remember that, right, Troy? We have stuff on the timer, and then PT's going, and he like, wait, this thing is running right now. Let me tell you, I'm just talking like Kali says, and I'm like, hey, man, don't be mentioning my name.
yeah,
But
Troy told us off top, say, listen, you only got this amount of time to talk. And then there was one point early in the show, I think Khalees was just trying to keep the time going while we were waiting on something. So he was just talking. He's like, okay, I'm still talking. So when I got up there, it was like, oh wow, okay, we started. Like I wasn't tracking. We started. I was trying to give a history of why we want to save the kids and everything else, and, and then it's like, oh, we're here. So I was like, yeah, like Khalees was doing early when he was just talking. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
yeah, man, you did great, man. Obviously, to me, the most memorable part was my son being up there on stage, to see him do his piece and to see like the whole start of it, like with him practicing and trying to get it down, and us working in the kitchen to get it memorized, and then overhearing him and Troy, Troy kind of coaching him and getting some tips from that, and then utilizing those tips, and then seeing him get on stage and have it all come to fruition. That was really special to me, and then seeing Troy's part, because Troy, when you asked me, you had said, hey, you had sent me a voice memo. You said, hey, this could be some bad language in there and all that, and I was like, all right, man, let me go ahead and see what kind of poem he has my son reading, you know, and so I was like, let me not just answer really quickly. So I saw it. My wife pulled it up. I was driving. She read it to me. And I'm like, I don't know what this brother's talking about any foul language. I was like, everything's clean in this thing. And then I was sitting on the stage and then Troy spoke. Then I was like, oh, it's his part. It's his part. But you did fantastic, man. And the way you transformed into
Mm.
your role was amazing, and I think you really drew out some people who were just thinking, "Oh, this is going to just be a poem." You acted those things out, and you put feeling into it as well. So that's most memorable part of the night for me. How about for yourself, Troy?
I appreciate that. I my one regret is not being able to see your son because I
Mm.
was going up right after him, so I had to look for a spot, right? So I was actually trying to change my clothing, but there was no place to change. And so the guy told me, he said, "Hey, oh, you can go to the bathroom over there." And I went to the bathroom and I tried to open it, and so I was like, "I'm in here." And I was like, oh my goodness. So I just had to wear what I was wearing, but it was more preppy than what the character was like. And so I regret missing your son, but I heard he did a fantastic job, which is awesome. He's at an acting school. So that's part of what we do at Beyond Rhetoric. We want to be able to pull out people's talent so they can use it. I think the most memorable part for me was it didn't click until I heard the woman say it. So there's a woman that works at the Department of Juvenile Services, and she runs the GED tutoring part. And what she said is because of the volunteers at Beyond Rhetoric, they've exponentially increased. They've had the biggest growth ever for people attaining their GEDs while in detention. And I've seen it on paper, but when she said it, it made me think, wow, that is really incredible. The impact that we are having was huge. So that made my heart smile. And so, yeah.
Nice. So, Marcellus, I know you wasn't there, but from everything that you heard, some of the things that was said back and forth, uh, what was kind of like touching to you that you heard about the auction?
So this makes me even think about the recognition service that we all attended when we was going for our different organizations on, DJS. And one of the things that just resonate just listening, and I wish I could have been there, is just the fact, the impact that you realize you have on people as you go through service. And you kind of just said it, Troy. Sometimes when we do this work, and even with our careers that we were part of, because all of us have done careers in some type of service, whether it's military service, whether it's education, we really don't realize while we're doing the work, the impact that is going on long term. And I'll bring in a side tangent. I told Troy about this on Friday when I was talking about something that was going on at Cheltenham. And when I talked to one of the representatives through email, she said to me, "Don't worry about it. Just, I need you to come. I need you here." And when you just guys were just going through what you were just saying about what you shared, you had some people that just want us there. Because when we there, we're showing impact of just, people that's going through the detention centers, people that's knowing people that's in there that may be a family, and just seeing us do the work will impact them saying they just need us there. So it just shows the need of what we're doing for this auction, or when we're going through these detention centers, going to service, and each and one of our days and how we do that. We just need to be that presence to be there.
No doubt, no doubt. So, honorable mentions, man. I I tell you what, Troy, I'm gonna give it to you to talk about Tia. I'm just gonna talk about a few folks myself. So honorable mentions, obviously, the guests that came. Man, we had a full house. For people that don't know, internally we were looking to have 100 people show up. That was our goal. Uh, I don't know how you could have fit 100 people in that room. um, but it was a full house, and I didn't see a single table that didn't have somebody, except for the one table in the back that had stuff on it. Did you see the same thing, PT and Troy? I didn't see a single table that was open.
Mm-mm.
Nah, I
No,
was, nah, no.
and I think the people that came there, they were wonderful. They were lively. They were very bubbly. Came up asking questions, talking to us. Some people ask how they can get involved. All those things. So honorable mention to the audience as a whole.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to mention the interns, the young ladies that welcomed us when we came to the door.
Mm-hmm.
They were fantastic.
Mm.
They were professional. They were on their P's and Q's. The ones that were up there working the laptop, trying to make sure everything was going right, getting to the next item to auction, right? Closing those items out, trying to make sure that the information got out to the right people of who won the auctions and
Mhm.
everything. They were absolutely wonderful. So honorable mention to both of those ladies. Troy, I wanted to pass it over to you to tell the story about Tia, because I definitely want her to get her flowers on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Well, no, so I appreciate what you said. Even I want to pick back up on what you were saying about the honorable mentions. And going even back to what Marcella said, I remember a few weeks ago, I went to the detention center on a Friday evening and PT showed up. and I was playing chess and teaching chess with these other guys, and PT was on the side, and they were just shut me down. Like they weren't engaged at all with me. They were just like, nah, I'm not giving. They didn't want to be there. It's a Friday. They have to be there. And I remember the conversation just started opening up with PT. They started asking him questions about how to play the game. And then I was like, wow, like they just flowered. And so it's kind of what Marcella said. We don't know the impact unless we show up, right? And so that's the encouraging part. Talking about showing up on that night, the people that you were talking about, those are students in the Prince George's County public school system who were earning service learning hours, because in the state of Maryland, you have to get 24 service learning hours before you graduate. So what we were doing was able to find youth who were in high school from, they were at CMIT Academy, right? So shout out to that school. And also Roosevelt. One of the young ladies said, my cousin wants to earn some service learning hours. And so they came and they were professional, right? So much so that most people thought they were interns, right? So that was a professionalism. I also want to shout out, we had a young man come, Calvin Thomas, who gave us some music, who started us off the first half an hour for free. He donated his time to Beyond Rhetoric. He didn't ask for a single penny, and that's part of what we do as well. We want to get people's talents out there. So I give an honorable mention to him as well. To the volunteers that stood up and shared as well, right? They said, I didn't send them a script or anything. They stood up and they shared. These are two women that go out to a far, earlier Marcellus mentioned Cheltenham, which is in Prince George's County. And so where Marcellus also lives, right? These ladies are going from Howard County all the way out to Washington County, over an hour away, to play pickleball with the young ladies. They stood up and they shared. We had another gentleman who shared as well, his experience doing GED tutoring. And then you all shared, right? And so my hope, because you colleagues, you talked about the things that you did. So honorable mentions to all of those folks. And then finally, I want to give a shout out. It's just near and dear to my heart. And not finally, but penultimately, my first year of teaching was in 2002. And I've never had a daughter before, but I find them along the way as I'm teaching, right? This young lady right here, this young lady. My first year of teaching, I still have a connection with a young lady named Sashay Wansan. And she was there. And the first thing she did when she showed up was like, what do you need me to do? What do you need help with? Because she saw in my eyes that we had a lot of work and we didn't quite. So Sashay, honorable mention to my first daughter, 2002, 8th grade, Lombard Middle School in Baltimore City, Sashay Wansan. So I appreciate her heart, her energy, and she donated to the organization, and she showed up and bid on stuff. So that's just, there. But Tia, finally, Tia Medley. I mean, she was in Iceland on a break, and she came back and she started putting up numbers. And I'll be honest with you, I was discouraged a couple weeks before the auction, because I was like, we don't have a lot of people registered. Maybe we should cancel this, blah, blah, blah. She came and she just said, I'm taking it from there. She was doing all the organization with Busboys and Poets, making sure the contract was signed, making sure that we had everything together, making sure that the talent knew that they couldn't bring an amplifier, that they had to do A-B. All of that stuff was Tia. And so I was very encouraged because of her, that made me decide I'm going to call everybody on my list and send out messages. And so I think that also helped the numbers. So it felt like a family reunion. I saw folks there, from Janine Williams from my PhD days, to, once again, former students, to friends from a long time ago, Wanda Bell, to new recent friends. I mean, I just felt surrounded by so many good folks. And so Al Essian was there, and he's coming to help us out with grant writing as well. We had one person from our grant writing team there, Robert Holder. And then the honorable mention really goes to the folks that donated and didn't show up, but just donated. We got donations in the amount of about, I would say, a couple $1,000 on top of the $1,600 that we raised that night. So this night successfully was 2.5 times more than what we did in our previous auction. So we are growing. I'm excited about that, and yeah, my heart is overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
No doubt. PT, how about for yourself? Honorable mentions from the night.
Man, just you all. I mean, being new here with the organization, man, the way y'all embrace me, right? That's huge. The way that I'm included is huge. The opportunity to get onto the stage and see how y'all operate and speak my truth when it comes to the youth development of these young children that we're trying to impact their life in. I think, like, man, all of it, man. I don't want to give that general answer and see like, I'm, playing politics, but I'm not. Just the way this organization is. I didn't know what I was getting into when I accepted the offer, right? But since I've been here, I mean, it's first class. Everything from being with Troy, watching how he works with the kids in the detention centers, watching that change in some of them. The first time I went, the kid was brand new and he was very shy. Now I'm watching him, and he's beating the guy next to him, right? And it's like,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
enjoying it.
yeah,
Uh, to come to the auction and seeing how that is ran and how y'all orchestrated it and how y'all had the technology set up where it's closing on the screen, right? So it was just, man, like I haven't been a part of an organization like this before. So for me, this is awesome to see how far y'all are in this process, and I just hope to continue to hopefully add to it and just continue with this mission, man. It's y'all are all my honorable mission, or what is it?
Mhm.
Honorable mention. There you go. Get that PG County out of my voice. And
Don't worry, I won't edit it out. I'm gonna keep it raw. Keep it raw.
so yeah,
No
man, I
doubt, man.
appreciate it though. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, PT. So, closing notes will go around. So, one of the things I'll say in closing, is my wife did an amazing job buying stuff because she jumped in and must have bid on almost every item. Because we came home with a number of them. So much so we are still, working things out, to get the get this painting put up. So right now, she's figuring out how to get the studs in the wall for the right size for all this, and we're going to Home Depot and everything. But that's one of the things that was at the auction. Wonderful painting. She got it because she knows I'm a big fan of jazz, and
Yeah.
we're also going to New Orleans next year.
Mm.
And yeah, this is one of the auction items. So this will probably be in all the podcasts going forward. Uh, you know, this is the best place in the house for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, there.
So yeah, that was something that I thought was really cool because she bought some things for some friends for a Christmas gift. The dog picture thing. So I'll give you guys this one thing. There was a couple that came.
Can you
Um,
explain what that was? The dog picture thing?
yeah, I'm gonna
What?
go into it. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
into
yeah.
it. So there was a couple that came. This couple, they had a dog that passed away this past year, and very sad for the family. We were very close with the family, and then there was the item for auction dealing with a young lady who actually will take a picture of your pet, and she will create it into, is it an oil painting, Churi? Because
She does the painting. The
yeah,
front
so she
picture still do the painting. Yeah.
yep, so she paints it all out of your pet and then hands it over to you as a portrait. And so my wife bought that for the friends that came that night, as a surprise gift. So
Mm,
right now my wife is getting the picture from the husband to provide to the young lady to make the painting and then to present that to his wife on
wow.
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
man. Yeah, so I guess it's a two for with me
Yeah,
closing and an honorable mention for my wife,
there
who
you
was
go.
probably uh, about a fifth of the money you guys made came from us. Uh, that, that night, either it came from us or we drove the price up where we affected it or something like that. But yeah, it was a wonderful event. Glad to be a part of both of them. Thanks so much for executing that. Over to Marcellus.
I would just say I'm just proud of us. I just know, just based on when we tried to start this thing, it was one of the things that we wanted to find out is how do we go and serve in these different areas? How do we grow into our organization? How do we network? And then how do we raise money to give that back to where we're going? And I think with this event, it kind of highlighted all those goals in different tiers about how we're trying to do that. Once again, even though I could not make it, I'm just still proud of us, the what we're doing, just to continue that vision that we're doing as we're operating together to move through. It just sounds fantastic of what turned out to be, especially for the students that I kind of serve in Prince George's County as well. Just seeing how they jumped on and served. So once again, like you said, Troy, shout out to CMIT, shout out to Eleanor Roosevelt. I know those are schools that I feed into in some ways, but just definitely want to make sure. Shout out Greenbelt, right? So we definitely want to make sure we continue to work in vision, because what we're doing is impactful, and just not giving up on, as we see that feedback, as we see the grind that we're putting on, we're seeing it. So we're seeing those fruits. Let's just let them to grow, continue to grow.
No doubt. PT.
Definitely shout out to all the youth that help, right? I am a Eleanor Roosevelt alumni, and I
Mm.
also am a Greenbelt Middle School alumni.
Oh wow.
So,
Yeah.
I definitely admire any kids at that age who's willing to come out and give some servitude to something that's bigger than what they could probably even imagine in their mind, right? Where they're thinking, oh, we're just coming to get these community hours. Nah, what you're coming for is to come in, help an organization that's collecting these proceeds that's going to go back into the community, that continues to help the youth live and hopefully reach their full potential and wherever they want to go through the aid that we're giving. So
Mm.
I just hope that they continue that. That impact is everything. I love seeing the youth out here, man. I love being around a good atmosphere of servitude,
Mhm.
because I believe that's what life's about after a certain point. Once you get out of adolescence and you start getting yourself together, it's time to start putting back into our communities. Uh, I won't get too deep in that statement today, right? But putting back into our communities is necessary when you have the right people with the right morals, the right ethics, and the right beliefs doing so. So
Mhm.
I'll leave it there. Hopefully you keep that in on that one.
Yeah, I won't cut that one. I'll put the other one in the bloopers, okay?
There we go.
Uh, Dr. Troy Grant, last
Yeah.
word, sir. Close us out.
Yeah, I just kind of I my hope is that whenever we do something like this is that it has legs, that it's not a one-off, that when folks came out, they caught a vibe of what we're all about. They sensed the sincerity, and they vibed with how genuine we are and how much we are connected to the thing that we're actually talking about, and that they feel like this is not about talk, that these folks are for real. I got an email that day. Somebody signed up and said, hey, I'm here at your event and I want to volunteer. I'm a lawyer in the state and this is what I can do for the youth. And I just hope that kind of thing takes off, that individual actually does become a volunteer for the youth, through Beyond Rhetoric, that more people get to know about us, and that we're able to do more and have a deeper impact, kind of as actually what PT was saying, like our impact grows and it's more profound. And so that's my hope, that we this continues to grow and it has legs. Not a single penny that was raised went to any individual at Beyond Rhetoric. So I just hope that people know that, and that we continue to grow and keep pushing the agenda of service to youth, those who are detained in the state of Maryland.
No doubt, no doubt. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. And let's go beyond the rhetoric.
All right.
Mm.
Gracias.
Yeah. Man, what was the question again?
It wasn't a question, it was a closing statement. Hey,
Oh, okay.
Marcellus, this is
Cause
why
I
we
was like,
send the questions out ahead of time. See what I'm saying?
Right. This is
See
where
what
the
I'm
prep
saying?
comes in. This is the
Yeah,
prep
this is where the
comes in.
prep come in. But my man want
I
to keep
was
it
like,
raw. So go
I
ahead,
said
raw.
I keep it raw. Close it.
Keep it
Close it.
raw.
I thought I already did it, but nah,
No,
I'll
it was
give
the
both.
honorable mention was the last one. This one the close. I'll edit this part out. This part is the closing notes. Anything you want to close with, my man? Yes, indeed.
Nah, man. I'll say